loving and caring and embracing of diversity. But all of a sudden, when I dare to utter any criticisms of the goddess, Kamala Harris, I get ostracized. Me, after having raised tens of millions of dollars for the party. And I'm being called a grifter when all along, all these years, I've said on TV, I've said to the press, I'm a conservative Democrat. This is not a switch for me. This is just me. This is who I've always been. And also, my donors are pissed. They raised $2.5 billion across Super PAC in the campaign. It's my responsibility. It's my duty of care to ask what the hell happened with that money? Why did we spend it? Why did we spend millions of dollars on five-star hotels for campaign staffers? Why did we spend $500,000 essentially bribing Al Sharpton moments before he interviewed Kamala? These are legitimate questions, but no, in the cult, you can't ask questions. And leaving the Democratic Party or even questioning the Democratic Party is like leaving a cult. It's
like, who believes this? Literally every single person. I hate that you can just speak these things into existence. Everybody on the left, all the Democrats and all the Democratic media are all questioning the Democratic Party. And also, you were part of these PACs and super PACs, and you were part of the DNC. What happened? Tell us. You're literally the establishment in every single way. You are literally the establishment. What happened? Who was responsible? What was going on? Tell us.
Terrifying.
Yeah, Dave Rubin, I mean, that's actually really unpleasant to listen to, isn't it? I mean, the idea that a woman who her only crime was to try and raise money for a pretty hopeless candidate, and obviously that didn't work, but the idea that immediately she raises criticism, legitimate, and in my view, entirely correct criticism of the party, she is abused in that kind of horribly misogynistic and disgusting manner. What does that tell you about where we are?
Sure. Well, I would say, Piers, we have a living, breathing example of that happening on this panel right now, which is that what she just illustrated there is a bunch of attacks on her character and her behavior. And
how did this lady even become such a political voice? Because she's a Democrat who had like a high Democrat position. Now she wants to shit on the Democrats. So it's just another why I left the left. Like Republicans love these why I left the left people, or MAGA or conservatives love these why I left the left people. You're like guaranteed like at least 15 minutes of fame if you're willing to do a Why I Left the Left tour. And she's like having her moment right now for the past few weeks.
Which is that what she just illustrated there is a bunch of attacks on her character and her behavior and saying awful things, and you can describe them as misogynistic and all those things. Look at everything that Cenk just said to me. These are just attacks not on my beliefs, but on my character, which again, he couldn't illustrate one thing that I say that I don't believe. I came out.
Well, he brought up one example, which was over the gay firefighter stuff, but I don't think we ever addressed that because we just moved on, but okay. I think Cenk should bring that up, but
woke up very early to the excesses of the left, what we now know as wokeness. I came out against identity politics, and I wanted to return America to what it was founded on, which was individual liberty and judging everyone by the content of their character, not the color of their skin.
That's such a boring, like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like, what a brave policy position. Like, I'm pro-freedom and judging people based on the content of their character. Like, my God, you're so brave. What a brave individual. Like, how much courage do you think it took for him to say that? Good for you, dude.
Progressive.
You don't support identity politics? Good for you, man.
To what it was founded on, which was individual liberty and judging everyone by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. The progressive movement is wildly attached to something that brings...
A Q&A with Lindy Li, an ex-wealth manager running for Congress. Lindy Li, a former wealth manager with Morgan Stanley. Bro, how much more donor class can you get? What the fuck? To, quote, make sure that everyone has access to the American dream, regardless of their gender or race or socioeconomic status, end quote. Li, 27, says that she supports Medicare for all, debt-free college, and a ban on assault weapons. This was a conservative Democrat in Pennsylvania? She's one of 10 Democrats in the primary for Pennsylvania's 5th district, which is largely based in Delaware County, but also includes parts of Philadelphia and Montgomery County. We asked her about that, President Trump's strikes on Syria, and the fact that she lives outside of the district, and more. 7 quick facts about Li's agenda. Her plan to create jobs, raise the minimum wage, focus on job. Okay, very conservative. All right. Invest in vocational training. Okay. On a $15 minimum wage. Supports it, but I think it has to be somewhat incremental. Backs debt-free college. Legalize recreational pot immediately. National job guarantee. Supports it, but I want to make sure that we have a way to pay for it without blowing up the deficit. Super PACs, they should absolutely not be involved in this race. Wasn't she working for one 2 years later? Budget deficit, stop subsidizing our fossil fuel companies, our oil companies. Does she say conservative in here at all? No? Does she say progressive? Oh no! did she say here? Oh, wait. We're at 27:55. She says,
Kamala Harris, I get ostracized. Me, after having raised tens of millions of dollars for the party. And I'm being called a grifter when all along, all these years, I've said on TV, I've said to the press, I'm a conservative Democrat.
they don't care. I'm one of those creepy people that go around turning off lights. I'm what they call a tree-hugging progressive. But they did not care about anything other than revenue generation. I'm sure there's some good people there. I don't mean to have a blanket statement, but just from the people that I was exposed to, talking about her time as a wealth manager at Morgan Stanley. Like, this is all like this feels retarded. This is what I mean. I'd rather just like go fucking goon all day or go back to school. Like, this is like this. Why? Like, who is this? Like, she should be excoriated. This is ridiculous. This is like some actual Chinese, like fucking some Chi-Com. My mom was more right than I realized. I missed her, I guess, on it. This is some Chinese communist shit. This is some fucking media infiltration. Fucking, she was rigging elections. She was rigging elections back at fucking Stanford. Or no. What was it, Princeton? Li attended Princeton University and was elected class president at age 17. She became the first woman at Princeton to hold the position of class president for all 4 years. Stop the steal. Stop the steal. What's going on? That was their training ground. Bro, what the fuck?
This is not a
I've been a conservative. Listen how strongly she says it. Like, I can understand if she's saying like, oh, I've been like a little bit more conservative, maybe. But like,
caring and any criticism after having raised tens of millions of dollars for the party. And I'm being called a grifter when all along, all these years, I've said on TV, I've said to the press, I'm a conservative Democrat. This is not a switch for me. This is just me. This is who I've always been.
Always.
And also, my donors are pissed.
This is not a real person. This is a fucking Chinese plant. This is a foreign adversary who's been injected into our political system, who is on some high-level infiltration. I don't believe it.
Is $2.5 billion across
To listen to, isn't it?
But on my character, which again, he couldn't illustrate one thing that I say that I don't believe. I woke up very early to the excesses of the left, what we now know as wokeness. I came out.
That was 6 to 8 years ago, though. The Democrats have changed a lot since then. You know that we were alive then, right? Like, the average age of this stream is more than 9. You know that back then, Bernie Sanders was never considered the conservative pick. He was the far left pick for the Democrats always, right? You know that we remember this, right?
Against identity politics, and I wanted to return America to what it was founded on, which was individual liberty and judging everyone by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. The progressive movement is wildly attached to something that brings everyone back to ancient hatred. So when you leave the left, as both of the ladies just pointed out, you will get unending hatred, usually having nothing to do with what you believe or you say.
Leave the left, you'll get unending hatred. Bro, this lady down here left the left when she was like 19. Bro, this lady down here left the left because she's 180 completely on her position. She's on Fox News shitting on fucking Democrats now after a few years ago being a Bernie Sanders sycophant. And then now she's like, oh, I was a conservative Democrat the whole time.
And again, I would just have anyone rewind the video and listen to the nonsense that Cenk said about me to prove that it still exists.
Well, Cenk, I mean, you did launch a very aggressive ad hominem attack on Dave Rubin off the top, which was your decision to do that. But in relation to his specific question, Cenk, can you say one thing that Dave Rubin believes in today that you don't think he believes?
Well, he listed the firefighter grift thing, right? The gay firefighter thing.
Donald Trump has YMCA. Isn't there a firefighter
well, before,
a cop and an Indian? I'm not sure.
Hold on. Look, there's a couple of super important things to say here. First of all, in answering your question, look, Dave doesn't believe in any of the positions he believed in. Before he thought he believed in affirmative action.
Name one. Okay, he said affirmative action.
Okay, affirmative action. And now he says it's the worst thing in the world.
Affirmative action. I evolved. I used to believe in identity politics.
Okay,
so you did change. But then just say that. Just say that you changed. I've changed political positions. Just say that. Why would you go? Look at how the goalpost has moved so quickly. Wait, what did Rubin say before? I haven't changed a single position. Name one. And now that he can name several, he's like, well, I've changed. Then just say that.
He doesn't believe in any of the positions.
This is why I would never challenge him. Like, name one thing I've changed. I was like, what do you think I'm being contrarian? Or what do you think I can't justify? Like, yeah, my political opinions have changed. Of course they have over time. I would hope people's have. But like, hopefully in response to like gathering more information or having a perspective shift or something. But why would you say they've never changed?
Since he believed in before, he thought he believed in affirmative action. Name one. Okay, affirmative action. And now he says it's the worst thing in the world.
Affirmative action. I evolved. I used to believe in identity politics.
Okay, so you changed.
Like
you asked me to say.
Yes,
why can't you
ask me to name something you changed on? I named it.
You're telling me I don't believe what I'm saying right now. You're calling me a sellout.
Did you believe the Russian propaganda you were paid for?
Oh, you are an utter.
Did you believe the Russian propaganda you were paid for?
I was not paid, Cenk. I was not paid for it.
You were paid. You paid a lot of money. Over $4 million, I think.
$1,000 a video.
Oh my God, you clown.
Don't use the 100K. Use the 4 million. You clown. You dirtbag, disgusting, subhuman piece of rat shit. How will you call this guy a clown when you literally got $4 million of dirty fucking Kremlin money? That, like, how could you ever possibly call somebody a clown? This has to be like the least serious person that could, of all the fucking retards on this panel. And that's saying a lot, okay? Because Dave Smith here is heavily retarded, okay? So we got a lot of competition here. Fierce competition, all right? But even Dave Rubin buries him. Although I don't know, would Dave Rubin take fucking Russian money at this point? Who the fuck knows?
You believe the Russian propaganda you were paid for?
I was not paid, Cenk. I was not paid for it.
$100,000 a video.
Oh my God, you clown! I would recommend anyone look into that to find out a bit more on that.
Why not just say something about it? It's your show. You're here. Don't worry. Well, hold on. Actually, this is kind of awkward. Piers, can we just like move on away from that, please? I don't want to have to like talk about Dave Rubin's background and the fact that he's an American citizen that works in media that took over $4 million from a country that we're like almost in a fucking war with. Like, I don't want to talk about that. Let's move on to something more important. Are there any trans athletes we can talk about right now?
Cenk, how much when you took $1 million from Jeffrey Katzenberg? What did that do for you?
Jeffrey who? W-H Omega lol?
Did I change my positions at all? Not 1%. Not 1%. Okay, can I just address the core problem here?
What position do you think I hold that I cannot explain my
Jeffrey
beliefs on?
Katzenberg is in favor.
Okay, now we've qualified it. What haven't I changed that I can't explain my beliefs on? Okay.
Okay, Jeffrey Katzenberg is a good guy, but he's in favor of Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris. I was against all three. What part of that is unclear? So look, Piers, there's three different...
Hang on.
Politics for a second.
Cenk, here's my point. The point Dave Rubin is making is, why shouldn't he be allowed to go on an evolution of his views? And why does that mean that right now you can say to him, as you did, you don't believe anything you're saying or believe now, when actually it's completely possible that he 100% believes everything he now says because he's changed his mind. Why can't he do that? And why don't you believe him?
I think that the left is scarred by people like Dave Rubin, who had a complete change. For example, Tulsi Gabbard goes from total progressive to total right-winger. On the other hand, RFK Jr. didn't go to a total right-winger. He still believes the things that he believes about the environment, about housing, about corruption, etc. So you have to be...
Why do we keep playing this game of like right-wing versus left-wing? Like, your definition of right-wing, who fits that anymore? Nobody is right-wing in the way that you're saying it in this country anymore. Why do you keep using these terms? There are no more neoconservatives. They're all gone. Why do you keep saying like, oh, they're not right-wing anymore? Bro, he voted for the right-wing candidate. That's about as right-wing as it gets. When you support the right party and all the candidates in that party, that's about as right-wing as you can possibly be. It doesn't get any more right than voting for all the people over there and then being part of the right-wing administration. That is right-wing. Like, what are you talking about?
Be able to distinguish between the people who...
Is it possible for liberals to build out a media ecosystem without populist messaging? The UHC shooting response has black-pilled me, and I think FDR-style honing of the populist rhetoric is the only way forward. Maybe, my dude.
Who are doing it professionally, as I hate the word grift, but whatever it is that you want to call it, and the people who have genuine disagreements and genuine nuance in their opinions. So, for example, guys, there's three different branches of each party. There is the radical right, radical left, there's the populist left and populist right, and then there's the establishment of both parties. I despise the establishment with every fiber of my being.
We know.
And I've been doing that same exact program for over 22 years, longest running show in internet history, and we've never wavered on that. But now the radical left, unfortunately, is doing what you're worried about, Piers, that the minute that they see anything where you say, I agree with the right, when they agree with us on something like anti-war, they go, oh my God, hold on, let me finish the thought. Let me finish the thought. And what people then say is, oh no, he's going to pull a Dave Rubin because these guys get paid to go fully right-wing and then they'll throw their own people under the bus. So they'll pick a gay guy like Dave to throw gay people under the bus. If you see me going after Muslims, if you see me going after people that I've always supported, then you have an issue. But part of and this is not a pivot, guys. We've been fighting the radical left for 2 straight years now because they say absurd things like, hey, if the right wing agrees with us, we shouldn't do it anyway. We had somebody leave the network because they said, everyone on the right wing is racist. If you agree with the right wing in anything, even if it's things that we agree on, that makes you racist. And it hurts black bodies.
All right.
See, that's absurd.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Of course it is. I
You've
mean, the
got to
irony
get to a
is,
reasonable
the irony
populist
is that you
position
and
that the
Dave
whole
Rubin
country
probably
agrees
agree with a lot more than you're prepared to ever admit. You just don't think his views are sincere because he's changed his mind on a number of positions. By the way, I used to think I was liberal.
It's not just that, Piers. He lied about us 20 times
I have
over.
nothing in common with modern woke liberals. Zero. Let me bring Dave Smith back in. Let me bring Dave Smith back in. Dave, look, this is part of the problem, it seems to me, is that actually, if people stopped the ad hominem stuff, they could find a lot of common ground where I think there.
What is the common ground that like the right is supposed to find with the like left? When have they ever found common ground with the left? And they're gonna say, well, when Tulsi Gabbard and RFK, like,
there's been a very rapid repudiation of a lot of the nuttier progressive left stuff, and you're seeing America actually through Trump, albeit through he has his inflammatory rhetoric, but you're seeing America, I think, coming to a far more centrist place, actually, which is why he's managed to attract people from all different walks of life. I think that's what's going on. And you're seeing the people on the extremities beginning to look more and more irrelevant.
You know, a lot of times it's about how we use these words and what they actually mean. I'm not sure that centrist is the right word, but I do think, to your point, you know, if you have people who call themselves liberals and they are blatantly opposed to free speech, which there are quite a lot of. You know, this has been very normalized over the last 10 years, really over the last 8 years.
the easiest way to tell if somebody has no fucking idea what the country means, what freedom means, what anything having to do with the United States of America is, and they get all of their politics from like fucking Reddit, is when they obsess over this retarded fucking concept of free speech. That's not even why our country was so great and amazing in the founding of our country. It's important, but it's not like the foundational fucking thing that all of the United States of America is like founded on, especially not in the way that he envisions it, of like freedom of speech is when I can go on fucking Twitter and say any fucking thing that I want as much as I fucking want. Like, holy, it is the like most childish, like retarded fucking imagination of like America's fucking great because we have fucking freedom of fucking speech. Like,
I don't mean to drive this into semantics, but what you're describing is not liberalism. I mean, this is just, and in a similar sense, like people who are, you know, anti-war or pro-free speech, the idea that that's considered like a right-wing position is just nutty. I mean, I think anybody who, it's like at this point, then these words don't mean anything. I think that in many ways, whether you call something centrist or radical depends on the current environment, right? So like if you were in the middle of Adolf Hitler's rise in Nazi Germany, being, you know, it would be a pretty radical position to believe in like Jewish rights. That today in America is a very normal centrist position that almost everyone agrees with. So what Donald Trump, again, I think the more correct framing here is the establishment versus the dissidents. And if you think about, everybody loves to brag about a convert. So when Dave Rubin goes from being kind of a progressive to being more of a classical liberal, everybody who's in that classical liberal camp loves that because they're like, look, see, this guy woke up and saw the light and he wants to be with us. And then the tendency of people who are in his old camp is to say, oh, no, he's sold out. But I'm not reading anybody's mind. I don't know. I treat everyone, I take them at their word. The point is that look, Kamala Harris was bragging about the Republicans that she had supporting her, right?
Oh, let's bring up Cheney. Remember Cheney? Hold on. Do you remember Iraq and Cheney? You want to talk about Kamala Harris? Hold on. Let's pause on the girl dick for a second. Do you remember Cheney, though? Do you remember Cheney in Iraq? Remember Cheney? How could Kamala Harris brag about having support from Cheney, neocon, Cheney, Iraq war? How could you brag about Cheney, weapons of mass destruction, Cheney, Iraq war, Cheney, Iraq war, Cheney? You remember when Kamala Harris talked about Cheney? Wow. Like, it's like a broken record. Bro, I thought I repeated myself on shows a lot. Holy fuck.
But who were the Republicans that were supporting Kamala Harris? It was Dick Cheney and his daughter. And you know what I'm saying? Like all the establishment Republicans are the ones who joined him. Who did Donald Trump get? Well, they were all of the dissidents. And
yeah, like the Tulsi Gabbards and the RFKs are strong, brave Americans that really contribute so much.
You know, Tulsi Gabbard, again, Jake, I get your point. I mean, she has changed on several of her views, but might that have something to do with the fact that when she stood up and criticized the war in Iraq, the blood-soaked monster who sent her there called her a traitor to her country for that? And so when you have that type of dynamic...
You know that, like, nobody in the Democratic Party supports the Iraq war. That's not like a uniquely Trump position, right? You know that, like, basically everybody in the U.S. fucking hates the Iraq war now. That's not like a thing where it's like, oh my God, we needed Donald Trump to show us how bad the Iraq war was, because everybody's loved the Iraq war until Trump showed us the light. Like,
and you get viciously smeared in that way. What tends to happen is people go to a different group and they start listening to that other group. And maybe they get compelled by some of the arguments. Now, I'm not disagreeing with you that it's also true that you always have to guard against audience capture and perverse incentives and things like that. We all have to fight that force all the time. But it's also true that, you know, I remember there's some stand-up comedian after Louis C.K. got in trouble, and when he started coming back, they started insulting the people who were buying tickets to see him. And then they started saying that Louis C.K. only plays for right-wing audiences now. But their definition of right-wing was anyone who wants to buy a ticket to go see him still. So it's just like, what happens is that if one...
What? I mean, like, it's... You know what this is? You know what this is? It's the chart. Imagine coming from the past. You're like from World War I, World War II, and you're coming to the United States. You're like, okay, it's 2024. I mean, we just finished World War II. Are you guys on are you in World War IX? Are you in World War X? Like, did the country survive? Like, tell me some of your big issues in the United States right now. I was like, you don't even understand. You guys had it good. It used to be, this world used to be so good. Okay, man, let me tell you what's going on in the U.S. So we have in college sports, okay, now there was a trans swimmer. Trans is like a man who thinks they're woman, it's ruining everything. We've got like affirmative action, like some people we think, although we can't prove it anywhere, are like getting hired to be pilots who are like the wrong race. A comedian guy who's jerking off in doorways. People are making fun of his audience, saying that they're going to be right wing. It's a brutal world out here. I can't convey to you how absolutely fucked this country is right now. Like we're in a total state of disarray because of how dire the situation has become.
One group is insulting the people who were buying tickets to see him. And then they started saying that Louis C.K. only plays for right-wing audiences now. But their definition of right-wing was anyone who wants to buy a ticket to go see him still. So it's just like, what happens is that if one group is saying, you're a monster, we hate you, you're a traitor to our country, you should be punished forever. And
you mean like how Republicans called Obama and all the Democrats socialists for 1,000 years?
The other group is saying, hey, we like your point on that. People tend to go toward the path of less resistance and find a new home.
Yeah.
But I would also say there's something deeper there, which is that people on the right are much more willing to agree to disagree. So you can talk to people. RFK, he was running as a Democrat, and what happened? He got virtually nothing but hate from the lefties. By the way, for the record, I debated, because RFK was for affirmative action when he was running for president. I'm not. We debated it on my show, so I can clearly lay out my beliefs on that. And he sort of at the end of it kind of admitted that I was right. You don't solve perceived former discrimination with discrimination of today. But what you will consistently find, what I know my good friend Amala has found over the years, is that as you wake up and...
I wonder what that even looked like. Hold on. Dave Rubin RFK debate. A 1-hour conversation.
Aaron said to me, she was from Georgia to northern Quebec. I grew up fishing and hunting in the Adirondack Mountains. It's the oldest protected wilderness in our country. And yet 20% of the lakes, 1 out of every 5 lakes is sterilized. There's nothing in it because of acid rain.
What did they talk about? Russia? I don't see affirmative action. Maybe they talk about it in another debate somewhere. 2020, I don't know.
That committee on the first day wanted to invade Cuba and bomb the missile sites. My uncle said, okay, there's 64 missile sites. The Russians have moved in 64 launch pads and the missiles are on them. Are the missiles armed? The CIA didn't know. And he said, who are the gun crews? Are those Cuban gun crews or are they Russian? And they said, we think they may be Russian. My uncle said, if we go in there and kill those Russians, isn't Khrushchev going to have to come into Berlin, which would have been the beginning of a nuclear exchange? And they said, we don't think he has the guts to do that. My uncle said...
Wait, hold on. Wait, I'm just checking. Wait, is the position now that, should we have allowed the Soviet Union to install missiles in Cuba? Is that the position now that we're supposed to have as anti-establishment people? Is that...
I'm not going to go on your gut feeling. And he stood up to his bureaucrats, and the last day, they took one last vote. And at the last vote, they said it was 8, and this isn't in any book, right? But I know this from Bob McNamara and from other friends. My uncle did a last vote. The last vote was 8-6. 8 saying, we need to bomb the missile sites and go in. 6 saying, no, we should do the embargo. At that point, they had an option. And my uncle took the vote, and then he said, the 6s have it. So he was overruling his bureaucracy. And, the job of a president is to listen to experts, listen to good advice, listen to wise people, but to make up your own mind. And Trump was not able to do that. And he did the same thing on the vaccine, on all of these issues that were really critical to what he wanted to do himself. He said he was going to end the war machine, but then he brought in John Bolton. He said he was going to train this one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Because I'm like, oh, he's actually being really critical of Trump here. But I see now, that's just because he was still running against Trump in April, right? He hadn't bent the knee yet.
He brings in a swamp creature who is at the spear tip of,
Okay. I don't know if when he does affirmative action, but whatever.
You leave the progressive plantation, what you will find is people on the right that you're told are evil and scary, like Dennis Prager and Glenn Beck and Bill O'Reilly and all these people, that you may not agree with them on everything, but they will break bread with you. They will be generous of time and spirit, and you will consistently find that. And there's almost no version of that on the left. That is just simply true. And again, there's a living, breathing example of it right here.
Well, let me bring Amara in on that, because actually, Cenk, I'll come back to you. Hang on. Let me bring in Amara in on that, because I've had the same experience. I find that I've interviewed a lot of people that I always felt were certainly way more right-wing than I'd ever been, and I really enjoy talking to them. I had really good conversations, and I could argue with them about X, Y, Z, and agree with them about this, and this. And the common ground was all the mad progressive left stuff, which most of it was nutty, but it was also based, Amara, on something you picked up on, which is a denial of truth. And that was the key thing for me. When I saw the progressive left trying to convince me it was perfectly okay for trans women, for example, to compete in women's sport because they're women, when in fact we all know they are biological men, and I respect their fact that they want to be trans women. That's fine.
Wait. I'm so sorry. Did I pre-watch? Wait. How the fuck did we get to trans issues? Wait, I'm so sorry. I stopped listening for 2 seconds. Wait, what? Wait, how did this come to trans issues?
That I'd ever been.
Love it right here.
Well, let me bring Amara in on that, because actually, Cenk, I'll come back to you. Hang on. Let me bring in Amara in on that, because I've had the same experience. I find that I've been...
Imagine your fucking dirt under your fingernails. You've got like boots with the soles worn out in them. Your back is sore. You're huddled behind some fucking building. You said another fucking hospital with children bombed. You're Ukrainian soldier. You're tuning into U.S. media. Like, what are they debating now? There's like a fucking war in Europe happening, and it's like, today we're gonna talk about trans people again, and about trans people that aren't even relevant anymore. And trans people are gonna be what trans.
Interviewed a lot of people that I always felt were certainly way more right.
Destiny thinks the way that we define men and women is not important, because right now the definition doesn't matter, because all the men on your side are pussies anyway. So who the fuck cares?
Right-wing than I'd ever been, and I really enjoy talking to them. I had really good conversations, and I could argue with them about X, Y, Z, and agree with them about this, and this. And the common ground was all the mad progressive left stuff, which most of it was nutty, but it was also based, Amara, on something you picked up on, which is a denial of truth. And that was the key thing for me.
Denial of truth. Like, imagine... Remember the last time Piers was trying to get me to cuck and apologize for the exploding firefighter comments, and I asked, "Oh, hold on, I'll wait. Was this? This was a show where I asked Rubin, "Hey, my God, there's us."
Behaving like the people who are despicable would be leading that type of rhetoric. It would be denying every single bad thing. How many times as a liberal? How many times as a liberal have you been on a show? Not you in general, but like a liberal been on a show and you've been forced to disavow all of the BLM riots, disavow all of the violence, and blah blah blah. And then you talk to conservatives about
disavowing violence. That's good. Yeah.
January 6th.
Disavowing violence. That's good. Yeah. Disavowing violence. Disavowing violence. That's good, right? Yeah. Right.
Oh, like conservatives disavow January 6th?
Wait. First off, there's an entire cultural machine that has lied. There is an entire
we just saw it in real time. That's it.
What?
That's why conservatives.
And the thing is, it's even a layup for him, because I'm clearly trying to prove a point. I'm clearly, like I say, trapping here in that, like, there's a giant fucking cave that says enter here at your own risk and prepare to be eaten by a dangerous fucking giant snake. All he has to say is like, oh, well, of course I disavow the violence on J6. I don't, like, he could have said something like that and it wouldn't have set it up so nicely for me, but it doesn't even matter.
Conservatives about
Disavowing
it. January 6th,
violence.
that was
That's
a false
good.
flag.
Yeah.
January 6th. Oh, like conservatives disavow January 6th?
Wait. First off, there's an entire cultural machine that has lied. There is an entire
we just saw it in real time. That's it.
What?
That's why conservatives deserve absolutely zero sympathy for anything that happens as a result of their rhetoric. That's it. It's so easy. Like, it's so simple.
I'm not exactly sure what he's talking about, but I would say this is the type of person that the internet has broke their brain, thus leaving them with very little empathy for their co-human. I mean, a good, decent father is now dead because of this. He's had his brains blown out because he was defending his wife and daughter.
What is defending? Okay.
Something you've picked up on, which is a denial of truth. And that was the key thing for me. When I saw the progressive left trying to convince me it was perfectly okay for trans women, for example, to compete in women's sport because they're women, when in fact we all know they are biological men, and I respect their fact that they want to be...
You know that, like, all the regulations basically have changed at this point, I think, right? Didn't they change the Olympic stuff? Or am I making this up? Or in some of the NCAA stuff too? Am I making this up? I thought they changed like 2 years ago. Oh, let me check. They've updated transgender student athlete participation policy. New policy aligns transgender student athlete participation with the Olympic movement. The resulting sport-by-sport approach preserves opportunity for transgender students while balancing fairness, inclusion, and safety for all who compete. Like, yeah. To be determined by the policy of the national governing body of that sport. If there is no NGB policy for a sport, or then be determined by... Yeah, they changed this in response to everything. Like, this was 2 years ago. Almost 3 years ago. Why are we still talking about it? Holy fuck. And also, who fucking cares? Like, you should care. I'm sorry. It's not that you shouldn't care, but like, this is what we're talking about right now on the Piers Morgan Uncensored International Politics. We've got Dave Rubin, the world's smartest libertarian, Cenk Uyghur, star of the world's longest running fucking liberal YouTube show, Dave Rubin, the like most self-hating gay guy in the universe, the poorest Asian in America who goes to a private prep school and fucking Princeton for 4 years, and then somebody who's definitely not the whatever, I don't know, what were we gonna say for her? The person who had the political awakening at 19, who's now a star conservative for being so enlightened. Like, of all these people, now we're gonna talk about I guess actually, you know what? Based on that, you know what? Maybe trans stuff is the perfect stuff to talk about. What am I thinking? Okay.
Be trans women, that's fine. And if they want to be called she or her or whatever, that's fine too. What you can't do is erode women's rights at the altar of this.
Like, what do you think more? You can't erode women's rights. How many states is abortion basically banned in now? What? How are we gonna? What? Don't we already have some people dying because of the abortion? I know. I feel like I've seen 3 stories. I don't know if there's more or if all 3 of those were necessarily because of the abortion bans, but I feel like I've already seen stories where people die because they weren't able to have an abortion and the complications arose and they got like
movement. And that is where I realized the left were losing their minds and losing their track on reality. And you said it was basically a denial of truth generally. Was that one of the things that you would say was an example?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had tons of motivations for changing my political ideology and rethinking things. Number one being the gay firefighters. That was the first thing that really started things up for me. But I think it's a combination of yes, with that example that you just used of this trans issue and in Title IX, we are failing to acknowledge how far left the progressive left has moved. And that's a big factor. You know, a lot of people say, I didn't leave the left left me. And you're sort of standing in your positions and watching as people become more and more extreme. And for me, farther away from the truth and reality. Now, you couple that with this feeling.
Like, this is the problem. This is the meaning. It's like insane. You've got like a group here and then a group here and like a group here. And all these people want to talk about are these guys. But the infuriating part is you've got fucking retards in this group who are like, oh God, these guys are making really good points. Like, I don't know, maybe we should kind of like move in this direction. And it's like, bro, who the fuck cares about these people?
Of being lied to in that you've dedicated.
Also, don't fall for the memes. Any state that has like abortion legal up to 6 weeks, that's an abortion ban, okay? Don't fall for the conservative memes, okay? Just because men don't have any fucking idea how human bodies work, okay? 6 weeks, legal abortion, that's an abortion ban.
Farther away from the truth and reality. Now, you couple that with this feeling of being lied to in that you've dedicated yourself to this ideology. You've worked to promote these ideas, and then you feel abandoned by this group. So we're building an equation here. On top of that, we have the other things that our panelists have mentioned, the smear campaigns, the attack that you get on the other end of even just trying to raise your hand and get a question in is just absolutely insane. And then you mix in a little bit of the acceptance that you get from the other side as soon as you're willing to hear them out and maybe accept some of their...
Like, these people are clinically insane, and they have the audacity, they have the gall. They will deny shit. This is the definition of a delusion, okay? Like in psychology, a delusion is a fixed belief that cannot be changed no matter what type of sense data a person is presented. I think is the definitionally not AI. Delusion is an unshakable belief in something that's untrue. These people will tell you that, like, Antifa broke into the Capitol building, that there was a Fedsurrection on J6. They have no proof for any of it. We have all of it on video. We can see all of the people marching to the Capitol on video. We can see all the conservatives talking about it on video. We can see all of them talking about the revolution on video. We can see all of them breaking in and having American flags, all of it on video. And they're like, oh, Antifa. We can literally hear them saying, we can literally hear them saying, it's not Antifa. We can literally hear them saying, oh, those people, that's not Antifa. Those are American patriots.
They don't own the AlexJonesStore.com. Let me say it again. They don't own the AlexJonesStore.com. They don't own the AlexJonesStore.com. They don't own the Alex Jones.
1776. Updates from people on the ground, independent journalists, and just regular people alike. Meanwhile, and here you are close to the Capitol. Incredible stuff, folks. Here we're seeing videos that are being transmitted to us minute by minute as we receive updates from people on the ground, independent journalists, and just regular people alike. Meanwhile, and here you see them pulling the barriers and the police struggling to pull it back. This is not Black Lives Matter, folks. This is not Antifa. These are patriots, and perhaps they've finally boiled over. You see the air filled with the mist of mace.
And like, they say that we're the party who's unfactual, that we're like, come on, this is this has to be like, historically, people are going to look back and be like, what the fuck? This is the type of shit. I've said this for a couple of years now, but we're past the point. But like I've said in the past, okay, we always wondered, like, well, if I lived in Nazi Germany, would I be a Nazi or would I be one of the good ones? Or if I was in America and there was slavery, would I be anti-slavery or would I be a horrible slave owner? Okay, what we're living through right now, okay, what we're living through right now, this is the stuff that people look back on and go, there is no way that if I was alive at this point in history that I would fall for this shit. There's no way that like I would be repeating these like crazy fucking things. Not me, no way. This is the type of stuff that people are talking about, okay? This is exactly what people are talking about. It's stuff like this.
Saying that on the other end of even just trying to raise your hand and...
Is it true there was a court case saying that there were FBI operatives during January 6th? Nope. The funny thing is, the thing said the exact opposite. There were 0 FBI agents on the ground. 0. But they instead go with, well, there were FBI informants there, people who had informed in the FBI in the past or to the FBI in the past, and that's their evidence of like a federal record. There is none. You'll never see any. But also, you don't even have to think about that. Very rarely do I say self-evident, but we have millions of hours, maybe not, tens of thousands of hours of footage of J6 from how many different angles, from how many different phones, from all throughout the day, somebody would have captured. Where are all the federal agents? We would have more than a video of Ray Epps the night before saying, we're going to go into the Capitol, and everybody calling him a Fed, by the way. Like, we would have more than that.
Get a question in is just absolutely insane. And then you mix in a little bit of the acceptance that you get from the other side as soon as you're willing to hear them out and maybe accept some of their ideas. And you have a wicked combination for somebody really steering themselves in the complete opposite direction when it comes to their ideology. Now, I think if we're going to keep our logic intact, what you have to do is take in all the factors of that equation, sort of swallow it and stomach it for a little bit, and then meet the ideas where they're at and hope that you're being logically consistent without all these other factors of the acceptance and the smear campaigns and the hatred and the feeling of being lied to, and hope that you're driving yourself close.
With all these other factors like the smear campaigns and the hatred, the smear campaigns, the smear campaigns, the smear campaigns, the smear campaigns, like when Rudy Giuliani and then Donald Trump like called Ukraine and were telling them that you need to make a public statement. You need to make a public statement about investigating Hunter Biden with no evidence? With no evidence at all? Brother, we have you in 320-bit uncompressed audio, whatever. Like,
became president. We talked about it too if you want. Okay. And I can assure you that as far as I'm concerned, I think they should talk this week. I've already said that. But I can't. I just want to emphasize I can't control that completely. Well, but I'll weigh in. Yep, you're certainly free to, use me to be helpful in getting the conversation to take place.
Does anybody remember the timestamp where he tells him, "We just need you to announce the investigation"?
Answering this elected, suggesting that he thought the investigations were political, and then when I was set up to go there, I was ready to come. And Albania, this was a very serious thing. And you shouldn't feel terrible because it involves some other countries too. It isn't just Ukraine in which this was done. There are 3 or 4 other countries in which similar things are going on. And all we need for the president is to say, to put an honest prosecutor in charge. He's going to investigate and dig up the evidence that presently exists. And is there any other evidence about involvement of the 2016 election? And then the Biden thing has to be run out. I don't know.
And he's not even asking him to do an investigation. By the way, there is no evidence. That's why he's making a phone call as a private citizen to a Ukrainian leader instead of actually, giving tips to the FBI or doing something like that, right? That's why he's making a phone call as a private citizen to ask for this.
If it's true or not. I mean, I see.
But he's not just asking for an investigation. He's also asking.
I see him bragging about it on television. And to me as a lawyer,
Fake news. He's not a lawyer anymore.
Sounds like a bribe.
Hold on.
A bribe is offering something of value in exchange for official action. So he offered Poroshenko a $1.2 billion loan guarantee.
All of this is bullshit.
Critical to Poroshenko's success as president. In exchange for...
Hold on, say it.
Which is, he announced that he was investigating it.
This.
Somebody in Ukraine's got to take that seriously.
And?
Instead of what Cenk did, which is he announced that he was investigating.
Oh, wait, hold on.
And then all of a sudden he announced he wasn't investigating. So that investigation of policemen has been started, discontinued, started and discontinued about 3 times.
I don't know this timestamp.
So I wanted to tell the president to be careful. Probably that's a little arrogant to say that. I shouldn't say that about being careful. But I mean, just as a person interested in, be careful of the people around you, because they can very easily is trouble. As a person, to see some people around him who aren't just opposed to the president.
Like all these once, and we are.
Hold on, I just want to play. I need to find the audio here where he's like, "Don't just to do the investigation. You need to announce it publicly."
Be ready, people. Are real.
Cenk, right? Got 73%. He make some statement at the right time that he supports a fair, honest law enforcement system.
It was very, very important.
It tells you how much your people want change, right?
Yeah.
So, if he could make some statement at the right time that he supports a fair, honest law enforcement system.
Right. So this is a private citizen working on behalf of another private citizen because Donald Trump. No, Donald Trump is president at this point. This is 2019. But this is a private citizen because Giuliani doesn't have a place in the government. This is a private citizen calling Ukraine saying, hey, can you have your president announce an investigation into the son of a political rival for me with no evidence, but I need you to publicly announce that this is happening. This is an unbelievable phone call. Also, by the way, and Rob Noor will never talk about this, but the bullshit CI confidential informant that the FBI was working with who had leaked all the stuff that initially kicked off all the Burisma anything, oh, go figure, all of those statements were fucking bullshit. By the way, we've known this for for years. Pisco has brought this up in the past. Isn't it crazy that Giuliani made that call in 2019 and then, let's see, I'm trying to think. This guy went in 2020 to the FBI as an informant and then the FBI investigated, the House subcommittees have investigated, so many different people have investigated, and they found nothing. And now this guy, pled guilty to lying about all of it. Not that any of that matters, but also we're the ones that lie, by the way, though. We're the ones that lie, by the way. We're the ones that lie, by the way.
And stomach it for a little bit and then meet the ideas where they're at and hope that you're being logically consistent without all these other factors of the acceptance and the smear campaigns and the hatred and the feeling of being lied to, and hope that you're driving yourself closer towards the truth.
As you're saying all that, Mediaite has come out with its annual list of most influential...
Poor Dave, he's getting so fucked here. Look, he tried to talk that whole time.
Self closer towards the truth.
As you're saying all that, Mediaite has come out with its annual list of most influential people in global news media. Last year, I was thrilled to be 20th on this coveted list. I've just been informed I'm now number 15. Joe Rogan is second. Elon Musk is first. And the citation for Uncensored, I rather like this. It says, ever wonder what it might look like if Mehdi Hassan and Sarah Palin went at it? How about Cenk and Douglas Murray? Piers Morgan Uncensored has you covered. Morgan is poised to thrive over the next 4 years at the center of the action. I can't actually think of a better panel to be here as I read that citation now, because this is exactly what I'm trying to do. Funny enough, Joe Rogan, funny enough, had a little pop at me the other day, not in a bad way, but he said that he finds it all a bit too noisy, the debates we do. He prefers one-on-one, and I do a lot of one-on-ones too. But the reason I like this is I do think that when we get through it into the real nitty-gritty of what's going on in the world, bringing smart people together to thrash it out is a really valuable thing. And there should be more of it, not less. Lindy, let me just ask you before I want to pivot to another topic, but I'm horrified by what you've been through. And I'm really sorry you've had to go through that. I've had a lot of it myself. I always think the perfect...
It was my birthday too, by the way.
Well, happy
Everyone
birthday. birthday, and I'm really happy birthday.
Fuck you on your birthday. It was my worst birthday of my life.
Well, yeah, and it's, you know what? It's utterly graceless. Never mind anything else. But you'll be stronger for it and better for it. And I think you've been an important voice in this because the Democrats need people on their own side to put their hand up and go, "Hey guys, here's the problem." Right? You may not agree with everything I'm about to tell you, but you've got to hear it.
Wait, hold on.
You've been through. I'm really sorry you've had to go through that. I've had a lot of it myself. I always think the perfect.
It was my birthday too, by the way.
Well, happy birthday, and I'm really happy birthday.
Fuck you on your birthday. It was my worst birthday of my life.
Well, yeah, and it's, you know what? It's utterly graceless. Never mind anything else. But you'll be stronger for it and better for it. And I think you've been an important voice in this because the Democrats need people on their own side to put their hand up and go, "Hey guys, here's the problem." Right? You may not agree with everything I'm about to tell you, but you've got to hear it. And there is a stench of loss. I would go further. There's a stench of political death about the Democrats. Looking at Biden, still the Democrat president, barely able to string a sentence together. Looking at Kamala Harris popping up when nobody wants her to, trying to tell people to fight. You just tried to fight, and you barreled $2 billion down the drain in being crushed by Trump. But Lindy, before we change the topic to the last one, where do you see this going? What are the Democrats going to do? Are they going to carry on villainizing people like you? Or do you think that the coffee is going to get smelled at some stage, and they're actually going to wake up and find a candidate that is more electable and find people like you a place in that tent to try and drive to an election victory?
Piers, I don't want that. I don't want to be a part of this tent. I don't want to be a part of this craziness anymore. They're accelerating my rightward shift. I don't want this nonsense. It's just crazy. And honestly, they're shrinking their tent. They're basically telling me to they're pushing me to bring my tens of millions of dollars that I've raised and can continue to raise to a different team that treats me better, that treats me with just common decency, that doesn't call me a communist spy. By the way, the communist regime in China killed my great-grandfather. They don't know my family's history. This is the first time I'm really saying it on air.
Oh my God. The first time you're saying it on air. This is the first time anybody's ever heard about this. You've done profile pieces. You've ran for office before and you've never brought this up before. Oh my God. I wouldn't be surprised if she was related to fucking Mao Zedong her fucking self. Give me a break. Holy, what next? Are you going to tell us that fucking your family fled initially to Russia and fucking Khrushchev killed your great grandma? What? Come on, give me a break. I need to invent better stories for my life. I need cooler shit in my background. I'm gonna go ham. I'm gonna write up a whole new fucking biography. If we can just fucking lie with impunity about the most retarded fucking shit. Oh my God.
They are calling me a spy for the regime that killed my great-grandfather. Let that soak in just for a second. That's how disgraceful they are. Yep. And these are the people who call themselves the social justice warriors. They are dabbling. They are going headfirst into racism anytime someone dares to disagree with them. I don't want to
headfirst into racism. That's definitely the people on the left. Yeah, for sure. That's absolutely, yeah, the anti-Semitic ones. Yeah.
Be a part of this nonsense anymore. I want to be a part of the team that says men are men and women are women, and then men shouldn't play in women's sports. And I'm an athlete myself. I'm a marathon runner. I don't want to run against a man. I know I'm going to get trounced. That's just biology. It's science.
Of course.
It's not politics.
Of course, and it always has been just a matter of clear, obvious fact. And people who've tried to defend it, smart people who've tried to defend it, have been disingenuous at best and actually disgraceful liars to themselves and the world at worst, because what they've allowed is this to continue to the point where we had that farce at the Paris Olympics when somebody who's got male chromosomes, reportedly, but it was pretty obvious.
That's the US's fault now? That's progressives in the US? Well, hold on, I'll be more fair. Sorry. He's talking about how progressives had infected the ideology in, where did that lady come from? Was it Albania? That's, I think, one of the most progressive, or the second or third most progressive countries on the planet. That was the issue, I think.
Battered one female boxer into submission after 45 seconds. And the poor boxer said she had to quit because she'd never been hit that hard in her life. Ridiculous.
Oh my fucking God. How do you can't counter this. When the host is this much of a partisan fucking hack, even if there were 2 or 3 Democrats on this panel, let alone the fact that every single person on this panel is a Trump worshiper. Oh, sorry, Algeria, not Albania.
People will die.
Ridiculous.
People will die at the altar of this bullshit. I want to just pivot to, we've got a few more minutes.
People have died. And because of trans athletes?
It's ridiculous.
And the poor boxer said she had to quit.
In the Olympics?
Because she'd never been hit that hard in her life. Ridiculous. People will die.
Ridiculous.
People will die at the altar of this bullshit. I want to just pivot to, we've got a few more minutes. This is the story of the shooting of the CEO of the healthcare company, Brian Thompson. And
ooh, this will be an interesting one. Because I feel like Piers, there's no way he would support that shooting. But every single person on this panel, except for maybe Dave and I never can remember her name, maybe these two would be opposed to it. Well, let's see if we get a split here, actually. Let's find out what happens.
Something that the NYPD Commissioner, Jessica Tisch, said yesterday. Take a look at this.
Let me say this plainly. There is no heroism in what Mangione did. This was a senseless act of violence. It was a cold and calculated crime that stole a life and put New Yorkers at risk. We don't celebrate murders, and we don't lionize the killing of anyone.
Cenk, a report came out that said a huge number of young people in America were actually fully on board with this hot assassin and approved of what he'd done. To which I replied on X, effing morons, which is what I believe they are. what does it come to in society? Putting aside legitimate concerns about the healthcare system, and I have more than any of you, by the way, because I live in a country where healthcare is free for everybody, and if you came over here and fell over and broke your leg, you get world-class free healthcare, and no one will be over you.
You want to know what the angle that no one's taking on this? If you were truly consistent motherfuckers, if you guys actually believed in the things you said, this is for DGG now, you motherfuckers, okay? If this guy did the same fucking shooting and then they found him and he looked like this, all you motherfuckers would have been supporting the healthcare CEO. All you motherfuckers would have been like, yeah, bro, assassinating CEOs is wrong. But you know what? Because he ended up looking hot, you cucks all got behind him. This is a pretty privileged issue, all right? It has nothing to do with ideology. It has nothing to do with the target. You guys just like him because he's hot. Fuck you. This is the Hassan effect. You're gross, okay? This is why the Republicans are beating us, okay, in the election.
Asking for a payment for the bill. So I have strong views about it. But that's got nothing to do with the cold-blooded execution of an executive. And this hero worship of this guy, Luigi Maggioni, he's not a hero, is he?
So, Piers, I abhor violence, and you know that on every topic.
Oh, but Disney's lawyers in the Trump defamation suit against ABC were worried about SC, South Carolina. Oh no, the Supreme Court overturning Times v. Sullivan, where the actual malice standard for public figures comes from. Wait, really? Wait, is Disney I'm sorry, does Disney own ABC? Is that why they're... I forget. I forgot that Disney owns like half the fucking country. My bad. Wait, hold on. We'll read this after. That looks very interesting. Holy shit. Okay.
Including Israel, Gaza, I always say the same thing, which is violence is both deeply immoral and deeply counterproductive. It's a surrender in the battlefield of ideas. So, but as you see that poll, Piers, you can call them morons, and I disagree with them. So I understand your frustration. But at the same time, if you ignore why they're having this unusual a reaction to a killing, you're making a mistake. And the reason they're having that reaction is because
it's not an unusual reaction. People have been saying LOL for billionaires dying forever. We saw it with the submarine shit, okay? It was the same fucking thing.
We live under corporate rule, and now both right and left hate that corporate rule. And health insurance is an excellent example of it. According to studies, 76,000 people die every year because they don't have health insurance, because they can't afford privatized health insurance. So the core job of the government is to protect us, military, police, firefighters, and yes, health insurance saves our lives. We're the only nation on earth that doesn't have universal health care. We let our own citizens die for profit. So that is the frustration that is built up, and now being shown in an unproductive way through this killing and the support of the guy who did the killing. But if you don't go address that massive health insurance problem, you're going to get more and more of this, and you can get angrier and angrier, and we can all go into our separate camps. But that's not going to solve it. What's going to solve it is...
Let's assume that what you're saying is true. What's the party that who got us the little bit of ACA shit that we have so far? It was the Democrats. Do you think the Republicans are going to be lining up for a public option for single-payer healthcare? Like...
ending corporate rule. And the number one issue is that the establishment takes money from those corporate donors and serves their corporate donors. All right. Both Trump and Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris took $700,000 from the health insurance industry to make sure that nothing fundamentally changed.
How much money did you take from Polymarket? You guys got a big Polymarket sponsorship recently, right? If you're saying that Kamala's position on healthcare was influenced by big donors or whatever, how do we know that your positions aren't influenced by Polymarket? If you can't show that Kamala like changed a position or had a change or there's some kind of communication or something, right? Then who are we to say that your positions haven't changed because of the Polymarket sponsor, right?
That is a core problem. And if you're a Democrat or you're on the left and you push people out for saying things that are true, all you're going to get is a weaker and weaker party. Let's address the root.
Why can the Republicans lie over and over again and not become weaker, though? What's happening there?
Causes.
All right, Dave Rubin, the poll was by Emerson College. 41% of 18 to 29-year-olds believe Thompson's murder was acceptable. The cold-blooded murder of a man, a husband, a father of 2 kids in Midtown Manhattan is acceptable because he happened to be an executive at a healthcare company and they disagree with some of the policies. I mean,
did he say 700K? Yeah, wait, I'm
responsible. And if you're a Democrat or you're on the 100,000 establishment, takes money from those corporate things.
Opinions you don't like is that disagree with some of the policies. I mean, if it comes to that, then if that is taken and extrapolated across the country, that's the future generation now in America. They think that murdering executives from companies whose opinions you don't like is now acceptable. America's in a very dark place.
Yeah, well, I can basically give you Cenk's answer without the but. There's no but there. It doesn't matter what you're aggrieved about. Everyone is aggrieved about something. Everyone has been wronged by somebody, a former employer, a health insurance agent, a doctor, a former boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it might be. You cannot take the law into your own hands, period. If you wonder why so many people think that violence is okay, again, I would only point at the...
Oh, wait. At the progressives, it's either going to be progressives during BLM and the Summer of Love or Biden weaponizing the DOJ. I'm going to guess BLM.
Progressives who for the last decade have been calling everybody racists and bigots and saying this country's run by white supremacists and capitalism's evil and the very founding of America's evil. And then they telling them that climate change is going to cause the world to end.
Okay, that was even more retarded than I thought. My bad.
In 6 years, and a litany about, and that their genitals don't match their gender. All of these things have led to a certain psychosis in young people that's also connected to the endless doom scrolling on the phone and social media, which made everyone much more antisocial than social. But if you tell everybody that the boogeyman's coming to get you everywhere at all times and you live in a horrible place with evil people who want to kill you, then you are going to have a mass mental health. Man's coming to get you everywhere at all times, and you live in a horrible place, more antisocial than social.
This might be the smartest thing that Dave Rubin has ever said. I agree. I agree exactly with what he just said here. Listen to this. This is a good point.
But if you tell everybody that the boogeyman's coming to get you everywhere at all times, and you live in a horrible place with evil people who want to kill you.
That's what you guys constantly say about the United States. The pharmaceuticals are the boogeymen, and the big donors and the corporate America are the boogeymen, and the FBI and the DOJ are the boogeymen, and Ukrainians are the boogeymen, and Jews and Arabs and everybody and immigrants and the Haitians that are eating the dogs and the Peruvians that are taking over all the apartments and the MS-13. This is literally your messaging.
Then you are going to have
the DEI and the woke and the trans dicks are coming for the daughters in the bathrooms and your children.
Everybody, that the boogeyman's coming to get you everywhere at all times, and you live in a horrible place with evil people who want to kill you, then you are going to have a mass mental health problem, and it's going to lead to people doing horrible things. But the second you do what Cenk just did there, which is so okay, we've got all kinds of problems, but, well then congratulations, anyone can go out there and kill anybody because everybody's got a reason to be aggrieved. We are a nation of law and order or not. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, Dave Smith, I actually agree with that. I think the moment you equivocate when you talk about something like this, you are opening the floodgates for everyone to equivocate. Whatever their cause is, whatever their gripe is, the moment you start saying, well, that murder...
Rare correct use of the word equivocate.
It was terrible, but, in other words, trying to find an explanation for why it's not as shocking and heinous and disgusting as it obviously was, I think you're on a very slippery slope, whatever it is.
Well, I would certainly agree that, and I've seen a disturbing amount of it.
He's about to butt. Ready? It's coming. But, it's coming. I can feel it. But.
Online and stuff like that. And so, look, obviously it's horrible to...
Oh, he used an and there. He's getting there.
Execution style, kill somebody. And the whole premise of Western civilization and the Enlightenment and everything that we should consider good and advanced in civilization is that even if that guy was guilty of horrendous crimes, well, he gets a judge in a robe and a lawyer in a suit, and he gets to present his defense before he is convicted by a jury of his peers. The idea that you can just execute, first of all, it's evil, and also, no matter what side of it you're on, the outcome of vigilantism like this is just chaos and an awful place to live.
But
I do think, though, that...
I feel like those counts as but. I do think, though, that's the same thing as a but. I get half credit on that, okay?
For us, for people who feel that way, we should look at a poll like that and have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And I don't think that, I don't think Dave is completely off. I think there has certainly been...
and it counts because Cenk is nodding his head, okay?
Questions.
Yeah.
And I don't think that, I don't think Dave is completely off. I think there has certainly been a bunch of toxic garbage that has come to dominate university life that is very bad for young people's minds. I will say, though, that as a society, we have put the young people in this country in an awful position in many ways where they do have legitimate grievances. Now, I'm not saying that justifies, supporting anybody being executed like this. But the truth is that the big banks and the government got in business to prop up this college, which is essentially a government program at this point. The loans are given out by the government after many years of them being guaranteed by the government. We've cattle carded these young people into...
Wait, what? What did you say? Sorry, every time It's just always so much dumb shit.
Awful position in many ways where they do have legitimate grievances. Now, I'm not saying that justifies, supporting anybody being executed like this. But the truth is that the big banks and the government got in business to prop up this college, which is essentially a government program at this point. The loans are given out by the government after many years of them being guaranteed by the government. We've cattle carted these young people into going into six figures in debt while they learn, for the most part, garbage. They come out of this, they're working at Starbucks,
Can I just get an answer to, like, how is it that the people that all get college degrees all end up making more money? What's going on there?
150 grand in.
What is he saying? Oh, it's just the old libertarianism is coming back, and anytime the government backs any loans, he just has to complain. So now we're complaining about student loans, I guess.
Yeah, my grandfather, in a much poorer, much less advanced economy, could go wait on a line and get a job after high school and support his wife who didn't have to work and raise their kids and have 2 cars and own a home.
No, he couldn't. Doing what? That is not true. There was no golden era in American history where a guy could go and get a job and support a family of 4 with 2 cars with no fucking education. Unless he was like one of the luckiest steel mill workers who'd been working there for 2 decades and was like high in the union and promoted to a good job. It was just never the case in American history that random people could get jobs and have all this shit. It is like a single family, single person working. That's a myth. That is a myth of U.S. history.
And get a job after high school and support.
Unless they live in Montana.
His wife who didn't have to work and raise their kids and have 2 cars and own a home. There is simply no path toward that for a huge portion of young people. And if we don't address that and we don't try to fix this situation, I think we're going to be looking at this very disturbing reality where more and more young people kind of celebrate the person who just went out and made from their perception, somebody who was in the establishment or in the winning class, made them pay. I'd also add very quickly that in the middle of that, just to add insult to injury, we still have Social Security, which is considered like a third rail that nobody, even the Republicans, will dare mention trimming at all, which is nothing but a wealth transfer program from these young people to a much richer group who have higher net worths and higher incomes and a lifetime of saving.
Yeah, you pay into it so that you get it when you retire. Well, I mean, they paid into Social Security as well.
The way young people have been screwed over in this society is very disturbing. And so, again, just to be clear, Piers, I'm not equivocating and saying oh, that's why it's okay.
How? Never mind.
Some of them are celebrating this, but I think we should recognize this.
Yeah, Amala, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I
Why is he? Bro, why do they hate Dave so much? Look at him. Oh, no. I'm 38 and after listening to enough of you, it sounds like you and I had a very similar upbringing. Hearing you snap back at viewers who don't know what it's like to not have everything is incredibly cathartic. True. I grew up dirt poor. My life was very hard. And the reason why I grew up so conservative is because my dad was tortured by Che Guevara when my family was making it over to the United States on the raft. And the only reason they had that raft, by the way, is because a free market investor capitalist snuck into communist Cuba and agreed to pay them fair market wages in order to provide them with the money to buy a raft that was manufactured with American wood and championed by American private investment. And then as they were making their way over to the United States, the only reason why they didn't make it the first time is because the communist-produced command economy directed screws broke because the communist leaders who were torturing my family members was stealing all the good steel for themselves. I don't know. Okay, I'm sorry.
But I think we should recognize this.
Yeah, Amala, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree with what Dave Smith just said. We should recognize the problems that are maybe underlying in this guy's motivation.
The problem is our whole country is fucked. Everything is fucked and ruined and destroyed. Right after Dave went on that whole rant about guys, you can't tell people are coming to kill you. Yes, our country is so fucked and destroyed. Everything is ruined. Everything is horrible. Everything is destroyed. Please tell us more. All these commentators who are it's sad because I can see how much I hate this country, but the beauty of this country all at the same time, right? How American is this? We're on a show that's hosted by a British dude, that's hosted on servers from an American company, that features a gay, I don't even know what ethnic background this guy is, a media guy from Turkey who came to the United States, a libertarian weirdo, a lady who came from China, from England and then to China, and then somebody who is, I think she's of African-American descent. I don't know if her parents were immigrants or not. Look at the wonderful collection of people we have here. And guess where they all come? They all come to the United States media to do their shows, okay? Even this bonger fuck. Look at how beautiful this is, okay? Look at the concept of our country at work here. but now they've all used it to just hate my country. Her surname sounds African. It does. So I'm not sure what her background is. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I agree with what Dave Smith just said. We should recognize the problems that are maybe underlying in this guy's motivation. I obviously don't think that retributive justice is the answer in any way, shape, or form. But to somebody else's point, I think somebody said the response to this has been sort of unusual or dramatic. I kind of want to push back on that. I feel like this is becoming a common response to anybody who, we disagree with losing their life. I think for a lot of us on this panel, maybe one sentence that we've said on this show today will now lead us to our deaths being celebrated. God forbid they happen. And it's a really interesting sort of common response that we're seeing in today's time. I'm reminded of—
If I look up, do you think each of these people have made, so Dave, Rubin, Twitter, Paul Pelosi, do you think all of these people?
I'm Dave Rubin, so excited about Elon Musk buying Twitter. Dad.
And when I mean the old days, I mean literally last week. If the narrative was out there that the Republicans are racist and bigots and conspiracy theorists and all that, there would be almost no way to push back on them because you would get censored or shadow banned or your views depressed or whatever algorithmic trick is involved. But now Elon owns Twitter, and not only does he own Twitter, so he's allowing people to say what they want, but he's also inside big media corporations evidentially that not only is the motive known to them, but only insane. That's the climate. Career ending. Many who open the door for the police. Why? Imagine you're.
So it is true that I like to
understand the dynamic dominating journalism. Few journalists have career security. Imagine you're a young journalist at a big media corporation. You know if you ask these questions, Twitter will explode and it'll ruin your career. Why wasn't there signs of forced entry at the Pelosi home? Who was the third person who opened the door for the police? Why was Pelosi holding a hammer and attack only happened after police arrived? Where is body cam security footage? Why isn't the press asking these questions? This happened often during Russiagate. I get texts, DMs, and emails from younger journalists inside big media corporations thanking me for being skeptical. They couldn't. One Twitter mob against them for questioning Dem narratives, see Dasha Burns or Bo Knows News, can be career-ending. Many journalists see the glaring questions and evidentiary holes in the Paul Pelosi narrative, but they also know how important that narrative is to Democrats right before the midterms. So why stick their heads up, provoke a liberal Twitter mob, and be branded? That's the climate. Police investigating the Paul Pelosi attack continue to say they do not know the motive, yet liberal thought leaders like Hillary Clinton and Jimmy Kimmel have decreed that not only is the motive known to them, but only insane or malicious people would question them. Okay, thank you, Glenn Greenwald, because that basically explains that there's a system of selective pressures. Young journalists that would love to find out what really happened.
So obviously we do the conspiracy theory thing, and then we've got all the conspiracy promotions. This is a strange sequence of events. The guy assaulted Pelosi only after police arrived and while they were watching, and he didn't use the hammer he was holding, but he used Paul's hammer. So odd. Stop. Hammer time.
Now to another case of.
This is the fake attack, by the way, that didn't happen and was all just like a giant fucking gay meme or whatever.
San Francisco. We have to warn you, the video is disturbing. Here's Gotti Schwartz.
He's good. I've got a problem, but he thinks everything's good.
Okay. Call us back if you change your mind.
No. This gentleman just came into the house, and he wants to wait here for my wife to come home.
Do you know who the person is?
No, I don't know who he is. He has this. He's telling me not to. He's telling me not to do anything. He's telling me to put the phone down and just do what he says.
18 seconds.
Okay.
Shortly after, Pelosi tells a dispatcher DePape wants him to get the hell off the phone and is disconnected. Moments later, two officers arrive for a welfare check to find DePape and Pelosi both holding a hammer, Pelosi also holding a glass. Pelosi rushed to the hospital with a skull fracture, while DePape told investigators he broke in to interrogate Nancy Pelosi.
So, I guess, what was your intention to go there?
You've never, by the way, most of you probably have never even seen this footage, and you've never even really heard about this, because it happened to Democrats. Nobody gives a fuck. If this, but we will play for 20 million fucking viewer hours, Donald Trump's ear getting glazed.
To make her change her ways,
Well, I was going to basically hold her hostage, and I was going to talk to her and basically tell her what I do.
And hold her hostage and do what?
And talk to her. If she told the truth, I'd let her go scot-free. If she lied, that was very fast.
The release comes after a petition by a coalition of press organizations, including NBC News, was granted by a judge over the objections of both prosecution and defense. Today on Capitol Hill, Nancy Pelosi reacting to the release.
I have absolutely no intention of seeing the deadly assault on my husband's wife.
As her husband continues to recover from the attack.
Gotti Schwartz joining me now. Gotti, now that the evidence has been made public, what's next in the case?
Well, of the Titanic submersible. Now, that wasn't an assassination, but those people dying was celebrated all across the internet in a very disturbing fashion. And I think it's about this sort of redefinition of violence that we're experiencing right now. Your words are violence now. Your actions are violence. Your silence is violence. Yep. This CEO, the violence that he was committing on the daily basis was being a CEO. And I think that redefinition is really taking root, specifically in young people. And when you mix that with the agitation they feel over their economic standards, the world that they're living in, the society that is increasingly becoming sick, we're going to see, unfortunately, more of these actions take root.
Yeah, I think you make some great points. Lindy, final word to you.
Yeah, and you know what's really rich? Leftists love to talk about gun violence, and I am a huge advocate for gun safety. But where was that? Where was that energy when this happened? Suddenly it didn't matter at all. Suddenly they were worshiping at the altar of Luigi with no mention of guns, no mention of ghost guns, which is one of their favorite topics. But all of a sudden, you can hear a pin drop because no one is mentioning it. And I do want to mention, if this guy weren't hot, there wouldn't be this mass hysteria around him. I think a lot of
if he'd executed a female executive, they wouldn't have.
It occurred to me that you argue for the colloquial definition of insurrection for Gen 6, but the legalistic definition of genocide for Israel-Palestine. Do you agree? Is it a matter of convenience, or do you see a reason to use one or the other in each case? So, no, I don't argue for the colloquial use of insurrection. There is tons of historical evidence for what insurrection is. That's why we go to that. The Paulson and Baud paper has probably most of the evidence for it, or the Colorado Supreme Court also cites historical evidence for it. So that's not true that we just use a colloquial word for it. But even if it was the case that I did, it's because insurrection isn't defined anywhere in the U.S. Code, unfortunately. There is no definition of insurrection, so you have to look to history to find the meaning of it. Genocide is defined. We have a very clear definition of genocide. We have a convention on it. We have definitions of it in the Rome Statute. So they're not remotely comparable, but
have been the same reaction, right? It was the fact it was a guy who was a middle-aged white guy executive. He fitted the narrative they wanted, which was.
Is that not negligent for the cops to stand there as they fight for the hammer? If he would have died, wouldn't have his death been on the officer standing there taking no proactive action? What do you mean? They're probably assessing the situation, my dude. You open the door and two guys are standing there, one with a beer in his hand and the other like trying to grab a hammer from you. You probably don't immediately know what the fuck you're supposed to do. You're just pull your gun out and start shooting.
Yeah, perfect hate figure for the whole health.
And we learned he wasn't even a client of United Healthcare.
Right.
Neither was his mom.
Yeah, I think this guy, Mangio, is a total fraud. And the idea that he's some kind of Pied Piper, Robin Hood figure, forget it. He's just a cold-blooded killer with a twisted mind who thought he'd make a name for himself. Got to leave it there. Merry Christmas to all of you. What a great panel that was.
We can say that again, right? Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas. We can say that again without being cancelled.
What? Has Biden ever said Merry Christmas?
Granddaughter. Can't bring her granddaughter.
Well, only two, so I think
2-year-old. You couldn't show up.
Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon.
It's so epic.
Wow. Cancer will be going. For color or pink? Yes.
Wait a second. What the fuck is that? Is that a Hanukkah tree? Is that a caliphate bush? What is this? What is that back there? What's going on over here? Is this a Kwanzaa growth? I don't know. What's going on over here? Holy shit.
To all of you, what a great panel that was.
You can say that again, right? Merry Christmas, guys.
God, you're so cringe. It's actually so fucking cringe, bro. Holy shit. You just should get like politically self-aware people. You just get like 100 of them in a room and just have them like watch people like this speak and shove coal up all of their asses. And you could make so many fucking diamonds. You'd be rich. This would be the richest startup in the United States of America because of how fucking cringeworthy these fucking panels are. Can you say Merry Christmas yet? Am I allowed to call him a woman? Am I allowed to call women a women yet? Am I allowed to call a man yet? Like, oh my fucking God. Holy shit, bro.
Merry Christmas. We can say that again without being cancelled. The mere fact we're all still here means the cancel culture is dying, and thank God for that. Thank you all very much, and I hope to see you all again next year. My next
Comedy is now legal, thank God.
She's one of President Trump's most loyal supporters in Congress. Like the man himself, she's no stranger to controversy. Like the man himself, she doesn't seem to care. Colorado Congresswoman Lauren Boebert has been comfortably re-elected for another 2-year term. Here are some highlights of her first.
So I'll ask again, did you shadow ban my account? Yes or no?
Again, not to the best of my recollection.
So the answer is, Mr. Roth, yes, you did. I found out last night from Twitter staff that you suppressed my account for this tweet.
Suppressing an account is not the same as a shadow ban.
It's a freaking joke about Hillary Clinton being angry that she couldn't rig her election. Who the hell do you think that you are? Do you continue to assert the slope of the roof as a credible reason?
Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. For the first time ever, I think you gotta give me this one. Holy fuck. Holy fuck. Yes. Come on. Absolutely. 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 Who is it? It's Jodi Arias. Absolutely.
For leaving this position undefended?
There was no order to hold fire. Our agents and officers have the ability to neutralize a threat.
You need to be fired. You do not need to hold this position. You are not the best for this job.
And then you take this microphone. And
I've also seen the coal plants that have been decommissioned in my state.
100%. We should
I've seen the energy regulations that have regulated my district into poverty.
Well, I disagree myself with the Congresswoman on some key issues in the past. In the spirit of Christmas, and for an insider's view of Trump 2.0, I'm very pleased to say that she joins me now. Well, welcome to you, Ms. Boebert. Welcome to Uncensored, finally.
Piers, it is wonderful to be on here with you. And, you know, when you're going to bring in some of my highlights, I didn't know exactly where you were going, but I'm kind of proud of those moments there.
Well, you know what? Listen, fair play to you. You've been a firecracker Congresswoman, no doubt about that. Sometimes I've cheered you on, other times I've cringed, but you're always making a lot of an impact. But more importantly, you've also been incredibly steadfastly loyal to Donald Trump. And I would imagine right now, I mean, I was watching the scenes at Mar-a-Lago last few days with the world's great and good, including many of his former enemies, all trotting down there to pay homage to the king. It's been a quite remarkable thing, hasn't it, since the election? The scale of the win and the way, really, that the world is now just gravitating to Donald Trump. How do you feel about it?
Is the world gravitating to Donald Trump? Is that...
Well, President Trump was announced as Time Magazine's Person of the Year. But America decided that he was our Person of the Year on November 5th. He won the Electoral College. He won the popular vote. We have the House. We have the Senate. He's rightfully returning to the White House. And yes, many people are visiting Mar-a-Lago.
Just remember all of this, okay? Internalize all of this. Internalize all of this, okay? We really care about the popular vote right now. We really, really, really care about the popular vote. That's very important because all in the past, they didn't give a fuck about. There's a reason why. We're not a democracy. We're a republic. They didn't give a fuck about. Now they really want to bring that up every single time it comes up. What is this?
How you gentlemen keep people on this panel is to no claim guilty until proven innocent. The real men of this country I'm talking.
And you're trying to say we're triggered? You guys
are so triggered you just resort to name calling.
Were you just